This video I'll show you how to maintain your motorcycle's protective clothing and your helmets and boots to keep them nice and clean, and how to make them smelling nice and fresh. Stay tuned. So when I come home after a ride, I'm usually covered in sweat and wearing all this motorcycle gear. So basically what I do is I take my helmet off, and inside I'll give it a squirt of Febreze. Now there's different smells you can get. There's blue and orange. And you just spray that in, like so, and she's all good. A tip though, if you're spraying it, open up your visor, because as I've just demonstrated here, when it's shut, it will coat the inside with Febreze, which, you know, will give you that residue on there. So that's how you keep your motorcycle helmet smelling nice and fresh. Now, let it dry out. Open up the visor if you can. If you've got an open face shield, lift that up and just sit that down on the ground and just let it naturally air out. With your gloves, you don't have to do this every ride, but maybe once a week, just give them a spray as well. I just do one squirt in each, and then they're good to roll. Now, with your gloves, they're going to be wet inside, so I find don't scrunch them up and put them inside your helmet, but just put them on top of your helmet, so that way you can get some airflow onto them. Now we've done gloves, obviously your jacket comes off, and usually I'm covered in sweat, so today's no exception. With your jacket, I'd like to just place it on a door, or in this case a cupboard. And there we go. It'll just stay there and it will naturally just dry during the evening. Over the boots, if you can open them up as wide as you can, so if they've got a fold like that, just push it out. And once again, spray them with Febreze. Just a couple of squirts in each boot is all that you need to do. And again, just let them dry out overnight and they'll be fine. Now with your boots, if you find that you've got stinky feet and Febreze just isn't cutting it, you can always wash your boots just in cold water. Just put them under a tap, rinse them out, let them dry thoroughly. Maybe put some newspaper inside as it's drying to help it dry out, and it should be good. If it still smells, then get some bicarbonate soda and probably a teaspoon, just put a heaped teaspoon in each boot, shake it around and let it sit overnight to absorb any odours. Some options with your pants, if they're all sweaty inside, is you can take them off and hang them over a door. Depending on how sweaty they are, this may or may not work. Now just hanging them up like that will work if they're not very sweaty at all, and if they don't really smell, then that's alright to do. I personally don't do it that way because I find that it just won't work out for me and it will start to smell after a while. So I turn it inside out. These are a textile type material, and each knee has its own padded foam insert inside there. So what you want to do is grab the foam insert just below the knee, so your kneecap would be here, just below the knee at the bottom of the foam insert. Grab that and then pull it all the way up to the top to invert your pant or turn it inside out. So here's the bottom of the pad here, just grabbing that. And I've pulled it through. That's the pad inside there. So now it's inside out. You can pull out the bottom part if you want, but that part's just extra. I find it will still dry if it's inside out, if that little part is still tucked in. And if you're wearing boots anyway, you won't even notice if that is damp. So now for the other leg. Bottom of the pad, pull it up, and it's quite easy to pull it through. And then just hang that on the door, and that will dry out. You can also put it on top of any door frame as well. You can just slip it over the top like so. Yeah, and that will dry out overnight. I probably wouldn't put it on top of your jacket, but this is just for demonstrations. So after you've hung it out like so, once again, Febreze, just give it a few sprays to keep it nice and fresh. Now if you find that the Febreze just isn't cutting it, you've maybe been wearing it for a week or two, and you just want it to smell nice and fresh like it was brand new, here's some ways you can clean it. I'm going to show you two different methods. First is putting it into a sink to give it a soak and a wash, and the second method is using the shower. I prefer the second method, but for ease of sake I'll show you the first one so you've got an idea. Depending on the type of pants that you got or jacket, most manufacturers will recommend you take out the foam inserts before washing it. So yeah, it's up to you. I sometimes do, sometimes don't. Either way, as long as you dry them well, then they'll be alright. So just in your usual laundry sink, plug in, put some warm water in there. once you filled it up about half of the sink with warm water, place your motorcycle gear in there and let it soak. You can also add some liquid laundry detergent and some fabric softener if you've got it, and just let it soak and rub it around in there, slosh it back and forth, really get it in and work it into your material to give it that good clean. This method will take a while to do, and there's a lot of movement you got to do with your arm, and you can get pretty tired after a while. And then once it's done, you've then got to take it out of the sink, maybe put it in a bucket as you walk all the way outside to hang it up on the clothesline so you don't drip water in the house, because these pants really absorb water in them. That method is alright. I found that living here in Darwin, which is quite a hot climate and I'm always sweating when I'm on my bike, that if I'd clean it that way, I'd have to do it every week, and after probably about day 4 or 5 you could start smelling it a little bit. So to keep it really fresh, this is the easiest method that I've discovered, and it'll work great for you. So this is the best way that I've found, and we use the shower. Right, so just lay them out in the shower. I've left my inserts in here, it's not really an issue, and I've fully opened out the legs, so it's fully inside out. Now just turn the shower on, give it a good soak with warm water. Once you've soaked one side, just flip it over and soak the other. Now that's got a lot of water on it, the next step is just to get your regular shower gel and pour that on there. Then you want to lather it in. Not using too much. Once you finish one side, flip it over and do the other. Now you're pretty much done. You could stop there, you could rinse it with the tap and then just let it dry out on the clothesline, or you can keep doing these other few steps which will keep it really smelling clean for weeks longer. So what you'll need for that is some bicarb soda or baking soda and some white vinegar. So with the bicarb soda, just powder it on. And you can see the chunks of bicarb here. Once you've done that, rub it in, and then we'll add the vinegar. And you don't need too much of the vinegar, you just pour it on. So you just drip the vinegar on like so. You don't need too much. And then rub that in as well. Now flip it over and repeat. Now the hard work's done. You can let it sit for half an hour if you wanted before rinsing, or you can immediately rinse it with cold or warm water in the shower. Then let it dry. So that was a couple of methods you can use to then clean your motorcycle gear. So for drying, your options pretty much are just let it drip dry, put it inside, maybe drape it over a chair or some other furniture with a ceiling fan or some sort of fan blowing over it, and it will dry. Another option, if those are not available to you, is you can put it in your washing machine if you have a gentle hand wash cycle, and you can put it through a spin cycle just to dry it. So I'm not talking about a vigorous washing or anything like that, it's just the revolutions of the washing machine will just spin around just to dry item of clothing. So just got it on spin, 12 minutes, and I want it to spin as slow as possible, 400 will do. So this has now been put through the washing machine spin cycle. They're still damp, but I'll just leave them out I've still got the inserts inside there, and this will stay out overnight, and it's underneath a fan, so that'll dry out overnight. Hopefully you got something out of that, and you now know how to take care of your motorcycle gear. Make sure you look after it, because it will look after you in the event of an accident. So the last thing you want to do is not want to put it on because it smells or anything like that. So follow those simple steps. I recommend just do it in the shower with bicarb soda and vinegar, and that will last probably about 2 to 3 weeks before it needs a wash again. If you just do it in the sink with detergent and this fabric softener, maybe a week if you're lucky before you have to wash it again. Alright, well, thank you very much, and see you guys next time.